And should I wait until that's done to order my citations, or should I just get the
No,
citations ordered and get it done with?
I mean, it's up to you. It's not really something I'm going to tell you. Wait. I mean, if you order it, what's going on happening, I'm not going to be doing nothing with the citations or anything you order
Yeah.
until it's actually done. So personally, I would just wait.
And then the existing site that's in place,
Hmm.
um, I guess the new site will get built directly on that
Yep.
URL, or can I give you
We'll build it on a staging site, and then after it's
okay,
built on a
perfect.
staging site, and we're ready to go live, then we go live with it.
Okay, and someone will reach out to me saying, hey, the site's about to go live or whatever.
Yep, site will go live, and then once it goes live, then we'll go. Okay, we need hosting information, et cetera, et cetera.
All right, cool. And then I saw you recommended a host, or you said the host that you were using,
Hawk
um,
host.
Hawk Host,
Yep,
HAWK.
yep, just like the bird, hawk host.
Okay, and did you use SendGrid at one point in time,
I used SiteGround at one
or
time, and
SiteGround? Yeah, sorry.
yeah, what happened with that was I paid them close to $400 a month. When a virus, and I had virus protection. When a virus hit my site, it knocked out everything,
Yeah,
and I had to personally fix it all. And when I asked them for help, I was told that nothing they could do. And on top of not only being nothing I can do, when I told them, I said, well, I have virus protection. And they said, well, that just lets you know that a virus hit. And I told them, well, that's kind of the problem. When the virus hit, y'all didn't even notify me or anything.
gotcha.
That's
So
the
you paid for
problem.
their virus protection, and they actually had me pay for one other service. I can't Security. I think they had me pay for as well.
Yep.
So you had both of those
I
services,
had
and
them both. And they basically
okay,
gave me the big FU. And
gotcha.
so I
Okay,
told them, I said, either you fix it or I am moving everything. And within the same day, I moved everything. I
gotcha.
luckily had one of my VAs that's in Manila. He used to be in IT. And instead of having to pay, let's say, $400 per site to get them each cleaned, I only had to pay, I say only, I only had to pay him like $30 a site. So instead of costing me about 7 grand, it cost me about $600.
Gotcha. And so I've never, I mean, I've had multiple websites, but I've never had any problems with viruses. How is that?
Very easily. Let me ask you this: do you put every site you have on a separate C panel?
Yes.
Then you won't ever have the problem.
Okay. Okay.
If you have a virus, what will happen is it'll hit that one site, and you're cool because it just hit that one site.
Hmm.
You know, the problem is we didn't have everything on separate C panels,
Okay.
and they didn't set it up that way.
Yeah. When I was
And
at SiteGround or whatever it is,
they
I didn't.
didn't set it up
It was
that
all in
way.
one C panel.
It
Yeah.
was all on one C panel, so whenever it hit, what would happen is it would self-replicate. We'd fix it, and it'd replicate. Fix
Mm.
it, replicate. Fix it, and it would do it over and over and over again. And so what we had to do is take one, move it to a separate C panel, fix it. Take one, set up a separate C panel, move it over, fix it.
Gotcha.
So I just went, because basically when they told me what they told me, I was like, okay, so what's the point of what I'm paying it for? Well, we notify you that you got a virus. Well, that's the problem. You didn't notify me. You
Well,
didn't tell
even if
me
they
nothing.
did, I mean, it sounds like it would have been a clusterfuck anyway. I mean,
Yeah, and they told me, and here's what they told me. They said, well, your sites are down because you're getting too much traffic. Because if you look at the back end of the code, there was a website sending traffic, malicious traffic, to take it down. This is why I'm saying I've been through some shit when it comes, besides Facebook. I've been through some black hat crap. I know who does it, everything. And when they took it down and they said that, then I said, well, that's not my website. It's someone else's website. And I had to actually tell them and explain what type of virus it was and everything. well, sir, we don't actually fix the virus. Well, don't you see the problem here? It's
Yeah.
like
Huh.
you didn't even know it was a virus, number one, and then you didn't notify it was a virus. So
Interesting.
when I moved to Hawk Host, I get more space. I get unlimited cPanels, unlimited everything I need, SSL certificates, all that jazz for like
Sure.
$75
So $75 is
a month.
as many sites as you want.
Once you get to a certain point, and obviously your nodes and everything, you're taking up
Ew.
more space, then yes, I need to get more space. But even now, I pay probably $100 and I get, I mean,
Oh,
it's ridiculous.
gotcha. So yeah, I may make the switch. I mean, especially if the speed is good and everything like that.
Yeah, the speed's good. On top of it, you can be a reseller. Obviously, you can still be a reseller of SiteGround. I like SiteGround in the fact that I can go, buy a domain name, hook it up to a website, push button installation, push button this and that. Because Hawkhost is not like that. Hawkhost, you need to be in IT. You need to know what the hell you're doing. You can't just go. I can't just give it to a client and they're going to know exactly what to do. I have to go in there and go, let me set up hosting. Let me change the DNS. Let me install the certificate. Let me, with a SiteGround, I can go force SSL and it automatically will force things, and it's cool.
Gotcha.
And it's easy.
William, just on that subject, I'm looking at using Hawk Host for the R&R sites.
Mm-hmm.
Which package should I be looking at? Shared hosting, SD hosting, reseller hosting?
I mean, SSD is extremely good if you can get it, but shared hosting is fine to start with. Then I get right now I'm on a semi-dedicated hosting name just because we have to have it, because every time we go to build sites, the more and more sites we build, the more and more hosting space takes up, more and more nodes are taken up. If you get too many nodes being, if you will, files on your host, which happens whenever you have 100 plus damn websites you're staging, all your sites will go down if you have too many nodes. So I have to get more space and stuff like that. But average
Yeah.
shared hosting should be fine.
Yeah, I had that problem with HostGator, and then I didn't even know what nodes were, and I'm trying to have them explain to me, and I'm like, okay, well, what do I show me what I can delete?
I've had it happen enough where I'm like, I know exactly when it happens. I'm like, it's probably the nodes. I go look at it. Yep, nodes, fix this, done, and it's all back up again. Today is your day, everybody. It's Friday. It's Q&A time. If you got a question, need some answers, want me to look at something, want me to audit something, that's your time, because otherwise. All right, go ahead, Javid.
Hey, William.
Hey.
Just had a question on that Hydra or the Viper bot. When you send traffic to the knowledge graph, does it click on the posts, or can you direct it in a way that click on the post and then click on that learn more? Or no, you can't?
No, not with the knowledge graph, not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I mean, they may eventually do that, but like there's certain features you have it go to, let's say this link, then you can have it go to non-direct traffic, and there's only certain sites that you send non-direct traffic to, most of which is in the G stack. Or let's say a Yelp listing, you can send it to a Yelp listing, but even then it's not going to go, let me look for learn more button inside, Yelp or whatever. Go ahead, Ruben.
Hey, William, how you doing?
Doing all right.
Good. When at some point in one of the classes, would you be able to quickly touch upon when, where, and how to use a VPS?
I mean, I'll answer it. I mean, for me, I can answer it now. I mean, I have VPSs because I've had people tell me, for instance, well, the reason why your Facebook keeps getting banned, I'll just give you examples, is because you're not using a VPS. Well, number one, what the hell has that got to do with anything with me using a VPS, okay, with Facebook? Number two, I actually went further than using a VPS when it comes to Facebook. I've actually had my own laptop set up in Jacksonville, Florida, in my friend's house, logged in via TeamViewer, and only used Facebook from that computer, not from a mobile device, not from a computer over here, nothing, and still get it taken down within a week. The reason why most people want to use a VPS is because of the sheer fact, from my knowledge, is the fact they have to, or they're trying to hide their location, such as I'm in the Philippines. I want it to look like I'm in America, for obvious reasons. If you're setting up a GMB, if you're trying to log in sometimes to hosting or using someone's information on login to hosting, it will say, hey, we don't recognize this device and we need login information. And then, you know, I've yet to ever, and you've heard me say this, I've never had a problem with GMB ever going down. And I use my just my IP address here in the Philippines. I've used proxies, and that never helped anything, because I've had people tell me maybe it's your proxies. And I've bought proxies and that never helped. And that was with Squiddy, I believe. I've used a VPN. I've used VPSs, but it's just not, I don't think it's going to be effective. If you're trying to do it just to hide your location, which is not most of the time what people are doing. Jared, who's in the R&R class, I mean, honestly, he'd probably be a better person to ask why. But Jared takes it to the extreme. And you know that because I think he's talked a little bit about it, because he uses
he does a Mac spoof or something.
Yeah, he does all that. That's just, as we said yesterday, you know, or as Lou said yesterday, it's not a matter if your GMB is going to go down. It's just a matter of when. So just don't even be afraid of it. So it's going to happen. But then I have a lot of GMBs. Not one of my GMBs have ever went down. So, you know, and the only reason I started trying to use them, like I said, was because of Facebook. The only other time I've ever had an issue was with PayPal. Now, PayPal, I don't use, from the sheer fact, has nothing to do with this. I don't use PayPal because they'll get your money. As long as you're making a certain amount of money, you're cool, no problem. Once you reach, let's say 10K, 20K a month, then what happens, they start, I want invoices for everything. You send them invoices, proof of everything, emails of every client you've ever had. And they say, okay, you're cool. And then 30 days later, they want to do the same process again. Then they're cool again. And then 30 days later, they do the same process. So that's why I will not touch PayPal if my life depended on it. And at one point, what was happening with them was I would go to do withdrawals. And as long as I was on one specific location here in the Philippines, they were fine. The moment I went to actually do it at my house instead of my other house, because I had two at the time, they would have a conniption because it was on a different, you know, if you will, it was on a different device and a different location. And I've tried VPSs and IPs and proxies and all that shit, and that didn't help nothing.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
On the back end of the GMB Mastermind, I know there's a lot of content in there. Are all the previous recordings from the previous GMB Masterminds in there as well?
Yep.
Okay,
this is the only course I've ever done. Well, let me put it this way. This is the first course I did. I've done an agency course and I did the CTR course. This is the first course I've ever done. And every class is in there and every sheet's in there. The ebook that is in there is actually in the process of being rewritten because of the sheer fact that I've changed my process so much. And then on top of it, I add chapters probably every 3 months. Right now, I'm in the process of writing reverse engineering your competition, CTR, schema, KML files, and a bunch of other black hat tactics. And then I'm probably, going to be putting that together in the next 30 days or less. It'll be complete. And once that's done, I'll put that in the back end, and I'm probably going to come out with some more class. I know for a fact I'm coming out with more classes on the KML file, the G stacks, and all the stack stuff will also be in the back end as well. Next week, I can go ahead and tell y'all pretty much what I got planned. Monday, I will be speaking on a stack that it is a very simple stack, but a very effective stack. It's an on-page stack. Tuesday, I'm having John and JJ Curry. If you don't know John Curry, he's an older gentleman based in London. His son's in South Africa. And basically he developed the software not because he's a software developer. He's like me or any agency owner, and he just got sick and tired of buying stacks. And so he developed his own software to do the Google Drive, the Google folders, the slides, all that stuff on an automated basis for everybody. So he will be on Tuesday demoing, and then James Jernigan will be back on Wednesday going over some more YouTube stuff. And then, Thursday I have someone that may be on, and Friday, of course, me, but Thursday's either going to be me or it will be Dan again. And then the following week, we're going to get into cloud stacks.
So there, in the back end, there's a video that explains how to use GMB Crush.
Yes, we went over that. That's one of the very first things we did.
Perfect.
I'll probably be mentioning it at one point with GMB Crush. I was actually approached and was going to be working with them based on content and tutorials for them. But then when it wasn't happening, and so I told them, I said, I'm too busy. I can't put time aside to make tutorials for someone else's company that I have I don't own a majority of it. So there's no way I'm going to be able to sit there and just take hours out of my week to make tutorials. So I love the tool. The tool's awesome. There's that one, and there's one other one. But what I like about it is it tells me, for instance, how long of a description, how many posts they got, what categories they're using. And that's how I reverse engineer my competition when I do a quote unquote audit to begin with, is looking at your competition. What are they doing that you're not? Versus just going, hey, let me throw in some content. Let me start posting. Let me start, changing categories or adding services. What is your competition doing? So that's in the
that's
back end.
Like my approach has been that.
That's exactly.
I'm looking forward to using GMB Crush because when I did just play around with it a little bit, and I checked my dentist client, and I basically learned that the competition wasn't doing much. Yep. So
and
I don't know that
most of them, what winds up happening, they'll come in and they'll say, well, and I see it all the time because I see the stupid advice some of these people give everybody is like, you have this main category and then like 10 different subcategories, and it's just foolishness. Most of the time the competition will have 3, 4, maybe. And then of course you got some they'll come in there and they'll just have god awful amount that's just stupidity. But I like to look at what the competition's doing. That's another reason I'm going to be putting that at the front of my new book is reverse engineering your competition. And that's what we're going to start with. So, yep. Anybody got any more questions? Come on. It's hey, Gene, Paul, how are you? I'm doing good. Whoever, Paul to everybody. I don't know about if there's a SiteGround in the UK. I don't know. I don't touch SiteGround anymore, but I know different places got different rules as far as what hosting you can, and UK tends to be a, PIA. Is there any software that automates schema the way you do it? Nope, not a one. And there was one that Brock was messing with that someone was coming out with, and it's still very short and lacking from what I've seen. We also, there was one site that we use a lot. It's called, I forget the name of it now, but it's down as well. And we're having to do even more manually than we were having to do. Is Hawkhost good for me if I'm using the site only in the UK? I wouldn't know. I'm just being honest. I don't live in the UK, so I don't know. Andy would probably be better to answer that. Do you know what hosting is best over in the UK or no, Andy?
I'm going off Hawk Coast because you've said I've used one-on-one. I've used GoDaddy. I've used a few other companies before. But I think for the cPanel issue you mentioned before, I'm probably going to use Hawk Coast.
Okay, so Levy, Hawkhost is good. Yeah, it would be awesome if they had actually come out with a schema to do that, but you know, there's a lot of, you'd have to have an AI to do it personally, because it's more, you have to put thought into it, and it's not just a matter of a plugin. Most people, especially in the WordPress community or SEOs in general, think, let me solve it with a plugin, and then the plugin actually can screw things up. I've had rank math. I love rank math, and I love Yoast. I love both of them. But problem is, there are times I've literally went to a site and it was climbing rankings, and all of a sudden it starts plummeting, and I'm like, what's wrong? Why is everything being set to no index? And then lo and behold, you go in there and you know, if you will deactivate, and this has happened twice, rank math, and then resubmit everything and just install Yoast, and then everything's fine again. And I know for a fact that Craig Campbell's mentioned the fact that he's had the same issue where I believe it was rank math or Yoast was no indexing all his pages. So sometimes plugins can actually wind up hurting you more than they can helping you. Questions. Let me see if I got any questions in my inbox, and I'll answer.
Yeah, one question, William.
Go ahead.
Back on March 24th, I verify a GMB with the postal card, and I verify a couple after that. So everything is fine on the back end. No suspension, no orange, no red, nothing like that. But they just don't show up in the search result. I guess you saw that as well. But if I use the link in the back end, I can see the listing. I can see it in the search. I can see it in the map. Is there anything I can do, or I just wait?
Or
And that's it?
have you already started optimizing it? Have you done your citations? Do you have it in Yelp or Bing?
Well, the listing was already 100% optimized before I verify it. And I already had the YouTube channel created with the YouTube on my website. I did the Facebook, but I didn't build any citation so far.
Send me the link so I could take a look at it and see why is it not popping up.
Because that's strange. It's like four on a roll since March 24th.
Yeah, it should be fun, but we'll take a look at it.
Okay, thanks.
Got a quick question based off of locations. So I have a dentist, and you know, I was originally taught to fill out everything you can possibly fill out on the GMB, but should I be putting service areas in there? I did the 5 or 6 surrounding cities as the main city.
Is it a service area business?
Meaning, do they go to the patient? No.
Okay, then no, I wouldn't.
Okay. All right.
You can. I don't necessarily think there's something wrong with it. It's just I use that feature mainly for SOB businesses.
Okay.
Levy, are you doing a demo about how to connect the website call to action button to the GMB? Yes, I'll be doing that. That's just something I do as far as CTR. We'll go over that some more, but click-through rate manipulation, one of the things I do, what they're talking about is instead of when it says, and the other one will show you is, so when you set up a thank you page, instead of it going to thank you page, it goes to the GMB. Or you have a thank you page and it says for faster service, click here. When they click here, it's the key term, let's say roofer near me, Orlando, And when they click on that, it then takes them to the GMB. So we'll be going over that and a couple of things. But as far as CTR, that'll be the last thing I'm going to be covering on CTR. Do you audit listings on this call? I can. Give me 1 second.
This is the same dentist that I'm speaking of, so.
Yeah, that's cool. I won't be using GMB Crush to do it, but I can just do a real quick one.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to know if I over optimized it. I mean, I filled everything in except for products because he's working on some things, but.
I mean, there are things that I'll tell you I would do different, but
Yeah.
it depends on if you set this up whenever, you know, it already existed.
It actually
is this
was he purchased he purchased the practice, and I updated. I got control of the previous listing that had reviews on it and everything like that, and I was able to change it without any penalties. So.
Is this in Birmingham, Alabama?
No, this is Bloomfield Hills, Michigan.
Okay, I just seen Birmingham over here, so I was thinking it's
Yeah, it's
in
another
Birmingham.
ritzy city near there, and it's a good area for a dentist to be in.
So personally, and I know some people don't want to hear it, but number one key factor in ranking is you having the city name, you know, the city and the keyword inside of the listing title.
Yeah, and he wouldn't go for it.
I understand. And people will tell you no, but yes.
And I actually thought about buying the URL and then just forwarding the Jimmy Family Dentistry.
Personally, another way you could do it is if you have the ability to, you get another GMB in this area, let's say right around here. A lot of times you'll see them. A lot of these people won't tell you how they're changing the grids from red to green is they'll get multiple. This is his location. And then they'll set up multiple GMBs in the surrounding areas. And then they'll also redirect those to, let's say they'll have them set up for location pages. Instead of the website just going directly to their homepage, it will go to this website, but it will actually be linked to the landing page,
whatever
for that location or that neighborhood. So like, let's say this is Brooklyn real estate. It'd be Brooklyn real estate. If this was Springdale Park, it'd be Springdale Park or whatever.
Gotcha.
So let's look at your reviews.
They're old.
Yeah. They're not. I mean, they need to be responded to. I'm not saying do some of these things, but one of the things you should do is, for instance, they'll say you can actually respond to a review. Yep. And besides responding to review, you can actually put in almost 700 something damn words as a response. Am I saying use 700 words? No, I'm saying you can.
So since he's a different dentist than the dentist they're talking about, should I still respond to those, or should I just respond to his new reviews that we're working on getting?
I personally respond to all reviews. I don't.
Okay.
That's not. Let's see here. On top of this, look at the images. How many does he have in here?
Then I have him getting fresher images as well.
He needs more images. Some people will tell you the geotag images, it's a waste of your time.
Okay, I got software that does it for me, so I just did it. But I mean, I could not waste the time.
Go get a refund on the software.
Well, it was part of that big Brian Willey package that I bought, so no getting a refund on that.
Yeah, and then like for instance, geotagging when it comes to GMB strips it. It strips it of all the information. There is a popular GMB, I'm not going to mention it, software for managing that most people use, and they swear to Almighty God that it doesn't strip it. But if you actually ask them, they say their software doesn't. They basically say their software doesn't strip it. They won't straight out tell you that it's stripped, but they'll say their software does not.
So could the results I think they're getting just simply be from the activity of adding the photos?
Just the activity. It has nothing to do with the geotagging.
Yeah.
The only way geotagging is any good is if you're uploading it to a site that doesn't strip it. For instance, if you have a WordPress website, or let's say Amazon or whatever, and you upload it, then it's not going to be stripped. Now, if you turn around and use a software to quote unquote like smush to optimize it, guess what happens? It strips
it all
it.
out.
So that's why to me, it's a waste of time. There are other ways and things we can do to more effective. You have your business address here. Cool. You have the website.
There's an appointment and a site link.
And a site link.
They do offer a menu link, and then they offer a virtual care link. He doesn't do virtual care, but I figured I could probably throw a link in there anyway, right? I mean,
correct. And you
can't
should.
hurt.
And I don't see. It doesn't look like you have your Q&As.
Where do you put Q&As within the Google My Business? I didn't see.
If your category is going to allow for it, they're automatically there. I'd have to see the back end to be able to see it. But
Hey, William,
huh.
you're viewing this on Google Maps. If you view this on Google Search,
Yeah,
you'll see the
show it.
questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then let's see down here. So he's got his Facebook and stuff showing up, and then he's got his website showing up. And let's go over to, let's see if I can get it to show up on search. There's a couple of things I want to look at. Come on. All right, so your Q&As are here. Another way you could do this is and you don't have to quote unquote, a lot of people won't understand this part, but you can go in here and ask questions with one Gmail account and then turn around and answer them yourself. You can ask the questions yourself. You don't have to wait for a patient to come in and ask these questions. So you can come in with a Gmail account, ask the question, where's your dental office located? Or how much does a crown cost to get blah, 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 how much your cleaning cost, all the typical questions. If you don't know what someone's going to be asking and some good questions to ask, here's another way of finding them. Say you are in Michigan, dentist, or let's say cavity, I don't know how to spell it, obviously, cavity, varnish, in dentistry. What are some other questions they're asking? Well, what is dental varnish used for? What is applied to cavity varnish? Where's cavity varnish placed? How do you apply dental? You could take those questions and then slap them in here. And
how many can you do?
You can do as many as you want, but the problem is I wouldn't do more than personally, you don't want to do it where it looks spammy.
Yeah.
Okay, but you don't. So I'd keep it 10, 20 a month, depending on how busy the site is already, because if it's not a very busy location and then you turn around and throw in 40, 50 damn questions, they're going to be like, your site doesn't even get 40 or 50 views. And you're somehow getting 40 or 50 questions. Health and safety, you got that information there. Let's see. You're not doing any posts that I can see.
Not yet, no.
Okay, so you need to start doing those.
I just started this, so.
Yep, do them 5 days a week. If you want to see how I do posts, I also have that in the back end of the class, and I can go over how to do GMB posts and everything. I don't necessarily need to do it here, but obvious, you can put up to, I only put about 1 paragraph worth of content. I don't really quote unquote put too much, but it's always going to be whatever that post is about. Let's say it's going to be about crown moldings. Then I talk about crown moldings, and then the link is going to go to crown moldings. Sometimes I will put, and I'll usually rotate, I'll put the link going to the CID, or less and less I've been using that, and I've been using map directions and some other things, but I don't always use the CID. Sometimes I'll use a bit.ly link. It just depends. Sometimes location pages, I literally will do one day, and the next day I'll do it a different way. So I rotate them back and forth. But that is on the back end of the class. But that's,
Okay, cool.
you know, as far as I mean, I could sit here and use, let me see if I still have it on here. I have the CID, but link Uber suggests GMB Crush, because this is another computer. I don't think I'm going to have it on here. Yep, I don't have it on this one. But GMB Crush will break down and tell you how long of a description, everything. And then in the back end of the class, you're going to see an audit my GMB, and it's going to not only audit your GMB, it's just a Word document. And then it's also going to show, for instance, auditing my competition, how many categories they have, how long is their description, what's their keywords, what areas, you know, what do they have, appointment link, you know, do they even have a website? Do they have a business site? Do they have a G stack? I mean, all that stuff you could find out. So
if we determine there's like 5 services that he really wants to focus on for ROI purposes, I could do 1 post a day each week about each of those services.
correct.
So Monday would be crowns, Tuesday would be dental implants, Thursday would be Invisalign, teeth whitening, so and so.
Yep. And one of the clients I deal with, all I do is dental. So, and that's in Canada though. Go ahead, Wayne.
How do you tell if they have a G stack?
If you look at their business site, if their business site just looks like, because you have Google sites and then you have the, you know, let me see here if I could show you. Let me see. Sometimes in the Google search, you can find them. So, and that's what I want them having to do is look for it per se. Let's see. So you have a Google site and then you have the business site. There's 2 totally different things. You know,
Are you showing something on the screen? Because I don't see
not
it.
yet. I'm going to open it. So let me pull it up real quick. This is a Google business site, right? But when I come to this will be a part of a stack. So if you were to look at a business site, the business site would just have, if you will, your GMB posts, an appointment link, your reviews, and that's really about it, right? Nothing much, nothing fancy, nothing crazy. But then this is the actual, if you will, Google business site that you could create under sites.google.com. You can literally make this thing look like a damn website if you want. I could come in here and I could take this website for ClearCut and I can add every single page in here possible. And I will actually eventually do that on this particular one and interlink it to the same pages, everything. But for now, this is just the basics. So on this stack, you're going to have, you know, interlinking to different, you know, keywords and such like that, your PDF. This is a stack. So whenever I come to it and I find this in the search engines, I go, okay, well, they have a stack. You know, how basic is their stack? Is it a basic stack or is it a real complex RYS stack? How many pages do they have? I've seen them with hundreds of pages. John and JJ Curry, if they set it up to be the way they're going to show you some of them, they charge just for this little site right here. They'll charge $2,000, you know, just to do something that's like that, but it's very, very, very effective. It's, most people say they're not, but they're extremely effective. I just did a G stack for a client, not even last week, and he's already seen his calls go up. I had him reach out to me. I think I posted that in one of the groups already. So, let me see here. But that's, I mean, if I went to give you an example, clear cut. Let me see if I could find this one. Color cut group.
William, I put a link to my Google site for my client with a stack in the chat. I don't care if people copy all of it.
I'll look at.
I don't even know if it's adequate. So.
I'll look at it. And this is in Mississauga, Ontario. I'm just trying to show them if you can actually find it and how to find one. If it's on a business, it's google.business.com. Sorry. And the other way you could see them too is an Ahrefs. So I don't have an Ahrefs account anymore because I got rid of it. But if you go into Ahrefs and go to the backlinks, you can actually see those Google Stack backlinks. Let me go to yours, Valerie. Here are two that does not show up in the search result after 2 weeks. Okay, email that over to me and I'll take a look at it. Yeah, it's a pretty stack. It's pretty. I'll give you that. And yeah, it's a typical stack. It's, you know, it looks good. It's a basic stack. JJ and John will go over what a non-basic one looks like, but it's pretty extreme. It'll have, like, for instance, I'll give you for instance and show you. So
William,
give me 1 second. If you were to actually make this, add these people in here. Go ahead, Javid.
yeah, I just had a question. So for instance, this site that you're just looking at, everything seems to be like iframed.
Mm-hmm. That's in this one, but not in all of them.
Correct. But does iframe, is there any disadvantage with iframe or no?
Nope. If anything, I would tell you there's an advantage to using iframes. And I use them repetitively in stacks. And on top of it, what most people don't do, for instance, and the reason why I say it is like, okay, so a GMAP embed is an iframe. So if there was a disadvantage, why would you use Google Maps? Yeah. You can do keyword, you can use keyword insertions in an iframe as well, which most people don't do, which I've went over in the class as well. So when you go to embed, and I'll show that in the stack on Monday, when you embed a map, and I'll show you one. This is what we're going to go over on Monday, and I'll show you.
Like the one you were just looking at, like I think Valerie is missing her GMAP.
Yeah, there's a couple of things I don't see on it, but you can actually take every single page. Let's say if you have 30 pages, you can actually put that in a google.business site. Here's the stack we're actually going to be going over on Monday. And I'll show you all this one. And it may look a little bit like, why in the hell would you want that on your site? Well, number one, you're not going to find it unless you know what you're looking for. And the only reason I have it is for Google, right? So this is the stack. This is a stack I made up. I made it up because I was looking for a way in which I can put my GMB posts on my website without having to do an API for every single site. If you only got 1, 2, 3, even 10 sites, 20 sites, it might be daunting to do it, but it's still doable. When you have hundreds of sites to do on a monthly basis, it's not very doable that way. So first things first is I go the header, then I do an embed of the actual business site onto the website, right? So this is an actual embed of the Google business site, not the
That's
business
on the actual website then.
On the actual website.
Gotcha.
I embedded it as an iframe, right? Then I have, these are actual, if you will, post from the GMB. So I have these in here as hot links where I have right clicked onto the GMB posts, put them here. I've copied the links. These links are all linked to the CID and everything. Okay. I've had people ask me, I've went over this in the group. Well, what happens when supposedly the GMB post expires in 7 days? That's malarkey. It doesn't expire in 7 days. It's still on the back end. And on top of it, even if you delete the GMB post, guess what never breaks, because I've already tested it. I've inserted a post from a GMB several times, went into the GMB, deleted that GMB post, and that post is still here, not broken, never even affected. Okay.
And this is just right clicking these posts and copying and pasting them?
Yep. Right click, copy, paste.
Huh.
So I put that in here. And then down here, we have the testimonials. Down here, I have the images. You know, this is all iframe, right? Then I have these hot links. These are all hot linked images from the post. That's all they are. If you were to click on this right now, it's going to take you to the GMB, CID, or whatever. You know, these are all linked to them. Okay. Then you have the RSS feed. These are all RSS feeds, and this is from the Google business site. All right. Then I have the NAP, if you will, name, address, phone. If it did have an address, this is a SOB, so it's not going to have an address. And then I also have a map down here. We're going to go over this. This map has a textual insertion. So if I go over this link right here, it's going to give you the keyword for that, which is going to be tree removal service, and then the rest of it. So, but we're going to be going over how to actually make one of those on Monday.
Hey William, have you tried pulling in a Wikipedia picture into a GStack yet? Like on the G.dot site?
I haven't yet.
Oh, okay. I was just curious.
But I did mention that on kind of like on my location pages where I talk about using proximity signals. You can go to Wikipedia or some of these other ones and just pull them in.
That's why I was asking, because I remember you doing that on the page, but I was curious if you've done it on the site, on the Google.
Not on that
site.
stack. No, I haven't tried it. Be curious.
And is that particular business high competition? Is that
tree removal? Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
In that area, yeah. I mean, I do tons of tree removal. So, let's see some more questions. Give me 1 second. I got tons of questions here. Give me a second. I don't know if the stack is adequate yet. That one's a very basic stack, Valerie. Another thing I went over last week is, okay, you first create a G stack, and then what do you do with that G stack afterwards is what we were talking about yesterday, which is the IFTTT rings. So if you're doing if this, then that rings, the reason why those are important is because now when I do a blog, it's going to, or a post or a video or whatever, it's automatically being filled in my Google stack on the Google business site, on the blogger, on the videos, on the SlideShare, everything, right? So that's why you would definitely want to do that. I have a Viper lighting hitting these links, correct? And that's what works. And if you go into the Google search, you can put in non-direct search traffic to your stacks, to your sheets, to all of that stuff. And I went over that in the CTR, so I'm not going to go over that here because obviously people paid for the CTR would be a little bit pissed off. So, yep, Terry, add the map now. Okay, William didn't know. The stack training is actually coming up on Tuesday with JJ and John Curry. And that will be specifically on map stack. And then sometime in the future, I'm going to go over cloud stacking. Cloud stacking are using sites like Amazon, Netfly, stuff like that. You can either do them yourself if you have the correct software, or you can pay someone to do them. But when you pay someone to do them, just make sure you order them a certain way. Whenever I do them, I always do them a very specific way. and I do them as one-offs. Always have a text embed, and then also always have your NAP and always have a map embed, specifically an IMAP stack. Looks awesome. Question to the group: where the hell does everyone find the time to to do all this stuff? That's why I started, for instance, why I started doing one-offs. I used to not want to do one-offs, but I had people saying, hey, can you do a G stack for me? Hey, can you do the schema for me? So that's why I started offering it. Yeah, but Jeff says if you're smart, you outsource the donkey work and focus on the big stuff. The big stuff, really, if you want to look at what the big stuff is, it's you making sales. You know, what is the 20% in the business? I forget what book I've read on, but what is the 20% in the business that, you know, produces 80% of the work, which is usually sales. For me, used to be going into groups, giving value and stuff like that when I could on Facebook. Now I actually run my own Facebook group and I do the same thing in there. Valerie said, this tree removal service is near where I live, William, and they literally show up everywhere. Thank you so much, Valerie. Love hearing that shit. I actually just got a message someone the other day. It's for lawn care out in, I believe, Arizona. He says he's gotten more GMB calls in the past 30 days than he has the entire existence of his business, pretty much. So, you searched every town and you found them. Awesome. Good to hear that. The software that I think you said John Kerry made for the GME stack is something that you can purchase, and we'll be going over that. I mean, I could give you the link now if you want to purchase it, but it is actually, I believe I already have it in my group, but let me take a peek real quick. In the group for the Google My Business group, you'll see a video in which he's going over the stack, right? And then it also has this link. I'm going to send it to everybody. That link is the stacking magic, and he goes over that video as well. Let me see if I can grab the link. Yep. And here's the link to the actual video if you want to watch it. You just have to be in the actual group to watch it, which I think most of you are in my GMB group. If you're not, please get in there. And if you are, please get active. The more activity we have, the better. I'm not the type to be a, if you will, group Nazi. Only thing I ask is don't come in there and say, you know, drop something for sale every 10 minutes. And if you're going to drop something for sale, just please send it to me and let me look at it. I'm very particular mainly about that because I don't want people getting scammed. And I especially hate when people talk about GMB verification and shit in there, because I know most of them are scammers. Because most people that actually do GMB verification don't go in there and do that sort of thing. So let's see what else. Go ahead.
What's the link to your to the Facebook group? I'm not sure if I'm in the right one.
Let me give that to you too. This is the Facebook group. Most of you might have found me in the original group I used to moderate. I have not been moderating that group for about probably 4 months, 4 or 5 months at least. Not even be, it might not be that long, but yeah, this group, we had just started really pushing this back in December. So, but yeah, if you join.
Yeah, neither one of your links showed up.
Your posts aren't posting.
Huh. That's why. I see why. Thank you. All right. So this is the link to the software. This is the link to watch the actual Facebook post that talks about the software. And then this is the group. Y'all see it now? All right. Okay, perfect. But besides the one-offs we already do, if there's something that you're curious if it works or not, you can always ask me and I'll tell you yes or no. And if I don't offer it, I'll tell you if I will or not. But most of the time I don't. The only thing I really offer is the stuff that I use and I know works for fact. So like I never push CTR until I found something that actually worked. You know, I don't use CTR Booster. I don't use all those other programs because I've seen the weaknesses. Even the one I use now still has some things because it's still being developed, of course, and there's still being improvements. So it's not perfect by any long, shot, but it's the best thing I've found on the market. Let's see. Any other questions? Got 5 more minutes. How to get the local search grid green faster. Apart from the daily post and Q&A, what else can be done in the GMB to rank higher? Number 1, if you can set the GMB up or if you can make edits. And I know titles can be edited because I've done it. Just don't do anything too crazy. Is editing the title and using the keyword and the city or location it is in. That is the number 1 factor for ranking your GMB in an area. That's number 1. Number 2, get multiple GMBs in the area. If you get multiple GMBs in the area and you send those GMBs to your location pages, you're going to be able to light that thing up green further and further out you go from it, which a lot of these guys won't talk about, but that's what they also do. Also doing pin drops, which I've went over in the class as well. Pin dropping. They may not be quote unquote verified, but you can still use them to increase your proximity and turn the grid from red to green. Because what happens is the more proximity signals you have and more information you have in that area, the greener that grid's going to look. CTR, you can use CTR to get it faster. Get the grid from red to green faster. Depending on, is your keywords already in the Google Search Console? So for instance, if in the Google Search Console, I'm showing up for dentist in Birmingham, Alabama, but I'm in spot 5 or let's say spot 10, it's going to be rather easy for me to get it to at least in the top 3 rather quickly. If it's in spot 50, it's going to be a lot of work. Do your basic SEO before you even think about trying to do CTR and using some magic bullet to get it to spot, in the top page. First do, and I tell people all of this all the time, first do your on-page technical SEO, then do your location pages, then add some content, 2,500 words or more of blogs on a monthly basis. Once you get at about 20,000 words a month, on the actual website, you're going to start ranking. Once you've done all that, add, of course, your location pages. Then we'll get into doing a quote unquote G stack. Then we'll do a cloud stack. And then we'll start doing some iframe embeds. And then on top of that, we'll do the IFTT rings. And then after all that, I'll do the schema. And then if you're still not in the top 3, then I'll do CTR.
Do you do basic schema before you do any of that, though?
Basic.
I mean,
Very
and so
basic.
the advanced schema is just simply if you're not.
Basic schema, in my opinion, is absolutely worthless. I mean, you could do it, and we do it, but it's not going to help you. All it is name, address, phone number. Really, it's
Gotcha.
telling them, here's your business logo, here's your name, address, phone, city, state. That's it. Description at most. You can upload as much as you want in a month. I know a guy, 10,000 plus, he does them all the time. Dan, the guy we had on the other day, Dan Kurtz, you're talking 10,000 plus easy. And they do he does literally no backlinking per se, like most typical SEOs. And the backlinks naturally happen when you have that kind of content and people are wanting to link back to you because they naturally want to do it. If you want to call something white hat, that would be white hat, but it naturally happens. But even that's still not white hat because his methodology is not. With the research and on purpose. How much? Okay. I have now 30,000 already. That's awesome. All right. Any more questions? Because we're going to be getting off here.
The majority of the words that you're publishing are blog posts. Then you get your main content
Blog
up
and
with your main
article.
pages.
And if you're in the class, we went over Jarvis. That was this
That was Monday, I
last
think.
week, I
Last
believe,
Monday.
or Monday. Jarvis is pretty good at it. So that's what I do. Jarvis, I can write 1,000 words in about 15 minutes. So you will still need
Man,
to
I'm so
edit it
glad you
some.
mentioned that.
You will still need to edit it some, but not, as much as nowhere near if you're using a spinner. Spinners suck. They look like crap. And then you're going to have to spend most of your time editing. Jarvis, you may still have to look and make sure it's not plagiarized, but I've yet to see anything Jarvis has wrote plagiarized. So you can, but I wouldn't suggest it per se. 10 sites, same niche, different cities. Can you use the same article on all sites? You could, but I would still want to edit it and change it up some so it doesn't look like you plagiarized something. But there's only you're getting at too. There's only so much you could write about tree removal. So you're still going to have to edit it. It's still going to look very similar, but it'll still look similar. But all right, it's been good. If you need to reach out, just reach out to me, drop me an email, and I will see you on Monday. We're going to go over a stack, just a very simple stack you can do on page. If you need help doing it, of course, you can hire us to do it. We'll do it. But those stacks are rather simple to do. So I will see you all Monday. It's been great. Talk to you soon.